Well, we are live with a very special stream that no one is expecting.
Hello! It's a surprise stream.
Yep. Well, the stream itself isn't a surprise, but the topic is, I guess? Like, we told people we were having a stream.
Yeah. We only
Welcome.
told a few people though.
Oh, so, yeah, that's true.
Got a hat
This is a nice hat. So, what are we doing today?
today. We're creating a new language.
For whom?
What? Really?
I
I
mean, it's
think
in
they
the
can
name of the
figure
stream.
that out.
Right, that's true. Alright, so...
Goblins. Goblins don't really have a very well fleshed out language in most of the lore that they exist in, mostly because they're viewed as primitive, but they do speak, and they usually are able to speak common, and they're not terribly unintelligent.
Right.
Hi, Mr. P.
In fact, actually, I'm going to double check. What's the standard stock Goblin intelligence for, say, the current edition for Dungeons and Dragons? I don't even know.
7, I think.
7?
I can check if you'd like.
I mean, I'm looking it up right now.
All right. Hopefully you guys can't hear the dog squeaking. He got a toy that he is super excited for. And he's been chewing it for... This is day 3 that he's just been doing nothing but this for 3 days.
Actually, no, 10. Goblins
That's
are
pretty good.
exactly as intelligent on average as humans. So there's no good reason for them not to have a language that's just as sophisticated as any normal human language.
Yes.
So we're going to fix that today.
Interestingly enough, humans actually don't have their own language in D&D. They just speak common.
Yeah, all of them. Well, I guess in certain settings they have different languages, but yeah, the standard is just they all just speak common.
Yep.
Just no particular language all across the world. So I have phonetics that I came up with. And this is the phoneme chart for Proto-Goblin. There is one mistake on it, which is that because I made this while somewhat hungover, I mixed up the diacritic for velarized consonant and pharyngealized. So any of you who actually know what's going on, you can shame me. You can diacritic shame me later. Diacritic shaming. Now that's a new thing.
We're teaching you how to make a language today.
Yep.
Although I would like to point out I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of teaching. I'm mostly here just to be the goblin.
Right. So
Dino knows what's going on. He's teaching me, and we're going to teach you by proxy of me being an idiot.
So we have here a fairly ordinary, as far as world languages go, setup of consonants and a very simple vowel system. So we have only 3 vowels: E, U, A, with no length contrast. That's it. That's just all they are. There are no diphthongs. There's no fancy shenanigans going on. Right. It's just this is as simple a vowel system as you can get. In fact, statistically, as far as I know, there are no natural languages with fewer than 3 vowels.
We still want the goblins to be simple creatures. They're
Yes.
not very advanced.
Not super
They might
advanced.
not be stupid, but they're just not very advanced.
There is, however, a fair chance that the vowel inventory will rise a little bit as we go.
Yes.
So, now for the consonants, we have nasal consonants, ma, na, nga, for bilabial, alveolar, and velar, which is a pretty normal thing. We also have a trill, ra.
Because of course.
Right. These are all actually fairly common sounds with only a few exceptions. So we also have, in all the same points of articulation, we have a fricative series. So we have fa, sa, sha, cha, cha, ha, and ha. We also have a lateral fricative because I'm an asshole. That's sa.
There's always got to be something.
Yep, that's sa. And we also have the lateral approximant la, like an L in English. And as far as I'm concerned, you can do a light or a dark L. I don't care. So those are the boring sets of the consonants, but then the stops are a little interesting. So we don't have any voice phonemic distinction, so P and B are the same sound, but all the stops can be unaspirated, aspirated, or pharyngealized. And so that's where we're going to start getting into some of the more interesting things that we're doing right at the outset, which is to say that there's already built into this a nice potential for some allophony. So all of these stops are going to be voiced. Well, sorry, all the simple stops are going to be voiced between vowels. And the pharyngalized stops, as well as the pharyngeal and glottal consonants, are actually going to slightly front back vowels. So that rather than being ah after, say, a pharyngalized p, instead of ah, it'll be pa. Yeah, so we'll get a little ah sound in there. But the thing is, at this stage, no speaker of the language would differentiate between those sounds.
Right.
So, like, technically in English, the P at the beginning and end of the word pop aren't actually pronounced the same. You probably don't hear it, because in English, we don't care about that distinction.
Right.
So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up with some nice pronouns. So, right now, I want a nice syllable vowel structure. So, Chesh, what do you think is a good... Oh, I should probably have put a number 1 in there instead of 2. And I'm going to get rid of this sound system. And actually, I'm going to open it up. Pictures. Where'd it go? All right, so it'll be up here, so that way it's easy to see. All right, so syllable vowel, or sorry, consonant vowel. What we got, Chesh? What are you thinking?
This is really hard to read.
Oh, is it? Let me make it bigger. Bigger? Getting bigger? Oh,
yeah, there we go. So we want a consonant vowel.
Mm-hmm. And it can be more than one syllable, although pronouns tend to be fairly simple words.
Do we want an open mouth or do we want open mid?
I'm sorry?
I'm just thinking about how we're going to pronounce the vowel.
Oh, so these, oo is rounded. E is, it's closed in front, unrounded. Is also unrounded.
And we don't want to make it too complicated by starting off with vowels, right? We want to start a consonant vowel consonant.
Yeah, so right now, I want this. We're going to stick with, for the proto-goblin, the syllable structure is going to be very simple. Every syllable is just a consonant followed by a vowel. But we're going to make it much more complicated later.
Okay, so why don't we do a nasal, an open mid, and then a flap?
Well, we only have an open back vowel. But we could do one of the nasals followed by ah, so we could do ma, na, or nga.
Okay.
Which one do you think?
Nah.
Nah? All right.
Nah.
Do we want to be one syllable, or we want more?
Just one.
Okay.
Start with simple, and then we'll get more complicated.
All right. So now we need a second person pronoun. This is personal pronouns, so this will mean you.
Right. So you're gonna want, so would that be me? Is it saying you or saying me?
So this is a second person pronoun is words like you and tu, vous.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll probably want a different starting vowel. So we're probably gonna want a P for that one.
We have 3 P's to pick from. You want plain, aspirated, or pharyngalized?
Aspirated.
Aspirated. And the same vowel?
Yes.
Okay. So let's, and this is where we have to start thinking about how we're going to Latinize things. Because I don't have an easy way to type a superscript H. So I'm just going to say that the PHA is aspirated. So don't pronounce it fa, because that's wrong.
Because that's wrong.
Yes.
So how do you pronounce it?
Pa.
Pa.
As opposed to pa, or pa. Or pa,
or fa.
Actually. Yes. Well, fa.
Or fa.
Well, so, but remember, the sound in this language that's closest to F is actually a bilabial sound. So it's pa, not fa. You gotta put your lips together and go. Pff. Yeah, not quite so hard, because that's a trill. That would be a trill, not quite that hard. Don't worry, I'll change it to an F later, but for symmetry's sake, I'm keeping it as a bilabial fricative for now. And then we need a word that means he, she, or it.
Let's go with a K.
Okay, which one?
And let's do a simple K.
Okay, and which vowel?
I don't know. You pick the vowel.
I'm gonna go with E on this one. So there we go. Now we have our first few words. Let's get approximate and obviate relative pronoun. Those are always fun to have. That would be this and that.
This and all of this and that. So we need to make that sound good, because anybody who's familiar with Critical Role, you'll remember that this is how you're going to have to refer to Grog, because he is Grand Poobah de Doink, in charge of all of this and that. So this one's going to need a roll, because it's going to be fancy.
Okay. Well, we can always do something like 2 syllables.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think we should.
All right, let's do it. First syllable. What do you think?
I'm thinking it should be a roll.
Okay.
Should we do an R? Do we have an R sound?
Oh yeah, we've got a rolled R.
A rolled R? I think we should do a rolled R.
Okay.
Sound fancy.
Yep. And then we need a vowel. Gotta buy a vowel.
Oh. Should we do an RI?
Sure. All right, and then I am going to go with a pharyngeal fricative and a U.
We got $2 for my unfinished journey. Hi! And
Hey!
So they're asking, so winter has come to Canada? Almost.
No, they said Canadadia.
Canadadia. Yes. We're getting there. It's it hasn't snowed yet, but almost all of the leaves have either fallen or changed color at this point. Also, hey guys.
All right. So let's. Anyway, so
make sure you share, because I actually can't tweet out right now because I'm in holding. I'm not technically in jail. I'm just in holding right now.
All right, but we also have a decision about romanization, which is how do we put in the pharyngeal fricative, because that is another one that does not have an easy or obvious. We could be. Oh, where's the symbols? Insert. Where'd symbol go? Is that not a thing? Function. Yeah. So we could go the boring way and just go with like a capital H and fix it later.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So now the word for this is rihu.
Oh God.
Yeah. Take that. It'll change later. Don't worry. I'm not planning on keeping pharyngeal fricatives as a permanent feature.
Yeah, they'll basically evolve out of the language.
Yep. But we also need a word for that.
So it should be similar to this.
Doesn't have to be. It is in English, but there's no particular reason that's the case.
Yeah, but we want to make it a little bit easy to deal with. We don't want it to be impossible for people who are like, oh God, what? Everything is so different from everything else. So we should probably make it similar. So do we want to use the RI again and kind of maybe treat RI as if it's a TH?
Okay. And then we'll need a second syllable. And so I am going to go with a pharyngeal K.
Oh yeah, also if we're back in Canada land, my shirt's appropriate.
Nice. Yeah, so it's what, like 10 Celsius out there?
Something like that.
Okay, that sounds about right.
We're starting to get close to the single digits.
Okay. And now come to the other problem, and you know what? I'm just going to go with apostrophe is going to be my marker for pharyngealized.
There you go.
There we go.
I'm going to need a legend at the end of this.
Yep. Actually, I'm going to be writing down in here some rules. H. Pharyngealized. Fricative. Apostrophe. Mark 4. Stop. H. Mark 4 aspirated. Stop. Okay, there we go.
Hooray!
Now we have rules in there.
Now we have rules.
Now that we wrote them down. I don't really.
Bendable rules.
Right. I don't feel like we need interrogative pronouns this very second. So we should come up with some nice, simple nouns and some nice, simple verbs. Well, I don't have to be simple in terms of word form, but just basic meaning nouns, basic meaning verbs, so we can get some sentences going.
Nice.
Yes. All right. So let's go with. We're obviously going to need a word for goblin.
Yep. We're going to need a word for goblin. We're probably going to need a word for, like, house, like home, like wherever they're living. We're probably going to need a word for hunt. So we're going to need a verb.
Hunt. Let's see.
Unless we want to stick with nouns first, because then it would be goblin, it would be home, maybe family?
Oh, yeah, I like family. I also put in wolf, because goblins and wolves hang out all the time.
Wargs, yeah.
Yeah, well, oh, spider. We should put in spider, too.
Chief, like person in charge, leader.
I actually would like to get that one a little bit later, based on other words. I'd like to derive that, give it an etymology.
Alright, sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, let's get a few more verbs, though. Let's get
fire.
Have. Oh, yeah, fire's a good fire.
That'll be a noun. Verbs, you're gonna want hunt. You're probably gonna want run.
Yeah, that's a good one. Run. I put in go and have.
Sleep and hide.
Ooh, yeah, goblins do a lot of hiding, don't they? Let's get something for walk. Command or tell. And actually, that's probably enough for now. We can come up with more as we go. So let's slide this over so everyone will be able to see. And let's come up with some words. Keeping in mind that we haven't used all of our consonants yet.
Yes. Okay.
So let's see. Ooh, I want one for bird, too. Mostly because I want to make a pun on this word, and so it's going to be...
Puns for days.
Yep, there's going to be a pun later.
Alright. The pun is inbound.
Yep.
I hope you guys are ready.
There's going to be puns. Get ready.
There's going to be puns within the goblin language.
Yes. Deep, deep within, in a place that you probably won't ever find them if all you do is look at the final version. But still, you're going to be in there, and I'm going to know about it, and it's going to make me laugh.
Yes, Puck still has his tail. It's actually super floofy because somebody sent him a brush, so it's been super duper brushed and it just poofed right out.
Very nice.
Don't forget to conjugate the verb. Yep.
We can't yet.
Daniel Pratt, is that what I look like?
A little bit, except you're not in your like garage chained to your water heater. All right.
Not right now. They let me out to stream.
All right. So we need something for goblin. And I think we could probably try to make it something that sounds a little bit like the English word.
Yeah, I think it should. I agree. So can we start it with a G?
No, but we can start with a K, which is the closest thing we've got.
That's fine. What? Wait, with a Q? Wouldn't the Q be closer?
Well, only if you want it to sound like a...
let's stick with a K.
All right. And then, let's see. The next closest thing we have is
an
B.
Open.
Oh, yeah. So, an ah sound, I think. That's closer to O than it is to oo. So we think ka?
Ka.
All right.
Cob, magob.
Well, here's something. If we put in a plain E next, it will actually sound like a B.
Right.
So, but then we would need another vowel.
So K-A-P, and then, well, we don't have an L sound.
We do have an L sound, but we can't put it in until after a vowel because we're sticking to consonant vowel.
Right. Okay. So K-A-P. What would be good there?
An A, an I, or a U. Those are the only options.
Oh, we should do a U.
Okay.
Should be a U.
We could put an L in.
Yep.
And then we just need one more vowel.
Why don't we just use IN? Leave the end of the word the same.
Well, we could put an I, but if we have another vowel, a consonant, we're gonna need another vowel.
But I is a vowel.
Oh, but if we put an N at the end,
Oh,
right? Because currently we can't. None of our syllables have codas. They only have an
oh, okay.
onset and a vowel.
Okay.
So right now it's Kabuli.
I like that.
Okay. All right. Also, this is a good opportunity to pick when do we stress words? What syllable gets stress?
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Should it be the last? Probably the first part of a word.
The first part?
Probably like in a proto like goblin type language, it'd probably be like at the beginning.
Well, it could be at the beginning, although with fairly short words, it's also easy to use antepenultimate or penultimate, which can sometimes be at the beginning and sometimes be closer to the end.
Yeah.
So, like, if we did antepenultimate, it would be kabuli. If we did penultimate, it would be kabuli. And if we did final, it would be kabuli.
I think for particularly for the word goblin, it should be the center.
Okay, so let's just put down, we're going with penultimate syllable stress. Now we know.
Now we know.
All right, let's get a word for wolf.
So something that will sound like a little bit guttural and is like a little bit harsh. Wolf is kind of more of a majestic word for English purposes, but for goblins, they're like pet dogs.
Okay. I always thought of them as more like pet horses because they ride them.
Yeah, they're more like a horse. But they're also like a threat that goblins have to deal with on a regular basis.
It's true. Usroda, yeah. We could put some of those words in. We could put ro and da in there.
Yep.
So if we want it to
A
be,
variation of warg.
don't currently have a W, but we're gonna fix that later. But it still is in
But
the
for
works.
now, what if we started with what if we started goblin with a K?
Yeah.
And wolf is gonna need to be something that's a little bit harsh sounding. What if we start it with a T?
Okay.
We can start with a T and give it a trill.
All right. So we're gonna put in a T and the R, and if we want it to be harsh, I'm gonna go with a pharyngealized T.
Yeah.
So, and then vowel. I feel like we don't have that many U's, so I'm gonna put in another U.
Mhm.
Then
I
you
think
wanted it,
you should probably be our common vowel.
and then we need one more vowel if we're gonna put in the trill afterwards.
Why not two U's?
All right. So wolf is now turu.
I like that one.
All right, and we need a house word.
Feel free to pipe in, chat, if you think of a good vowel to use somewhere.
Yeah, just start typing in vowels.
I've got a KV as an option for house.
Okay. So the K with so that third K, which I accidentally put in the valorized diacritic because diacritic shaming.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. Put in A. I want an A. And do we want? I mean, we can put in as many syllables as we want. We can also just leave it at one.
Yeah, I think one is fine for house. I think it should be simple. Like
Okay.
really.
Hunt.
Oh, that person makes it. Icarus makes a good point. There should be a word for wild wolf and a word for a tame wolf.
I agree, but I think as far as proto goblin goes, we're gonna stick to just wolf, and then we can come up with
It'll
yeah.
evolve as we get there. Yeah.
So one thing you got to remember is that we're making a stage of the language where we're not going to make this part something that could actually be spoken as a functional language because we're coming up with the words that will then be used in etymology to come up with additional words. So, like for instance, the word for house, there might later on be a word for a hovel or a mansion or just a generic house or
Different kinds of
right.
houses. Yeah.
But we'll derive those from that word as well as other things like suffixes and prefixes and compound words.
Yeah.
So right now we're just getting the very basic root words in, and not even all of those.
Yep.
So
But yeah, that's a good idea. If it's like a mix of like when we get to figuring out what family is, we could kind of mix family and house together to have like, oh, this is the family wolf. This is part
Or
of
we could
the
even
tribe.
mix in family and wolf and get something that means a wolf pack.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, that's how the idea is. We're just getting very basic words. But we need one for hunt. Let me bring back up the consonant list. All right. You can pick anything, but I'm going to pick something that we haven't used yet when it comes to my turn.
Oh, okay. Hunt, we're moving into vowels, and I think vowels might be interesting. Or sorry, not verbs. If we make verbs all sound a little bit differently. So, like all of the nouns all start with consonants, and all of the verbs all start with vowels.
Well, the closest we can do to starting with the vowel is we can start with the glottal stop, and then have the vowel, which is actually how words that quote unquote start with vowels in English are actually pronounced.
Right.
So, yeah, if you want, we can just pick one. Which vowel are we thinking? E, oo, or ah?
For hunt?
Yeah.
E.
E, all right. So, I'll also put in. Oh yeah. Glottal stop. Okay, so E, and I don't think we have used ha yet, have we?
No, we have not.
So there we go.
There we go.
Now it's in there. Read.
Oh god. Tree should probably just start with T. Start with a regular T. Get it out of here.
Boring old T, huh?
Boring old T for trees.
All right. Gotta pick a vowel.
Oh, I thought you were picking next.
Oh, okay. I'll pick a vowel. I'll pick. There you go.
Ta, and then I. I think we should do another vowel.
All right. How about ta'i?
There we go.
All
I like that. Hi, YouTube Surgeon General.
Hey, what's going on?
We're making a language.
Yep. It's gonna be a language.
This is the way too in-depth part of D&D.
Yep.
Where you get dungeon masters that just get in calls like this and just do this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, this started because we were talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and then I said, "Oh, what about a game where everyone's a goblin? You have to defend like your goblin lair against stupid adventurers who come by." And it just snowballed from there. And then it was like, "Hey, let's make a language live on air." So that's happening now.
Woo!
All right, so we're
TPP plus family. A vowel could mean tame. Hence, tame wolf would be a turufa. I like it.
Hey, so let's actually make a word with some people. Tame animal. It'll be a noun that means tame animal, and we can just have get some different kinds of P's in here. We'll do two. One of them can be fringulized, and then we put in a U and an E, so that way it kind of sounds like puppy.
Oh.
Yeah, look what I did there.
Oh. That's going to be the word for puck.
All right. So family.
So family should be like an inclusive word. So something more soft rather than harsh, I would think.
Well, we have a lot of fricatives.
What's the Q? Is the Q a soft sound or harsh?
So that's
this one.
In order, that's ha, ka, and ha. Ha.
For the Q?
Yeah, that's ha, ha, ha.
Pleh. That one.
Yeah, you want that?
Hell yeah.
All right. Complete with the A?
Yeah.
All right. Ha. Ha. And do we want another syllable? Or we're just going to leave it. I'm fine with just leaving it.
I like it.
All right. Ha. Spider.
Spider. Ooh. Spooky. Yeah, let's start with an S.
All right.
Spooky. So Spiders have lots of legs and they're kind of creepy crawly. So can we do like an S-E-K?
Which K?
Middle.
Okay. And we'll need another vowel, so...
C-K-U.
Alright. Cool. Cool. Alright. Have, the verb.
Hold on. A goblin spider hybrid would just be
A growl?
Would be a it would be a
Drider,
drider,
but it would be
but would have a goblin top.
A guider. Oh, that already sounds like someone who guides.
A grider?
A grider? I mean...
A gridlin?
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's entirely possible that I might make a 3D model of a spider with a goblin torso.
I can't imagine Lolth deciding to ever make a goblin a drider, because it might be kind of punishment for the drow, but it's also an honor at the same time.
Look, she's the queen of spiders, right? And they're a big part of her religion, but she's not in charge of all spiders all across the multiverse.
True, but she's the one who makes driders. They don't just spawn.
Well, look, it could be that this is an unconnected but superficially similar creature.
It's just a really... Where did it come from? Where did it go?
Well, you see, a very, very lonely goblin was in the forest one day.
Are you really going to try and say that goblins and spiders are sexually compatible?
I mean, why not? Look, it's more likely than all the alien-human hybrids in Star Trek.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think that it might just be a goblin that was, like, somehow managed to earn its way up through by just being this chaotic little monster that just ran around and just caused shit everywhere it went. And so, as a reward for doing such good chaotic work, that they were blessed to become a drider by this little queen of spiders.
She was like, "Oh, I like that one."
Like, you know what? Good job, little guy.
All right, so we have.
They fell prey to an evil mage's curse.
Oh, I forgot that. Why is there no apostrophe? Oh, it is. Why isn't it showing up? What
kind of spider? Maybe it's like a wolf spider goblin? Ah. Why did I say that? Oh, no.
Yep, it's going to be nice and hairy.
It's all hairy and it's like all grabby with its legs instead of like with string. So it's good at grappling.
All right, how about? Oh, I forgot. I'm gonna get the apostrophe. Yeah. For have.
Sounds good.
All right, fire.
Fire. I think we could use more P's.
Okay.
So can we do a PUM? So we haven't used the M really at all.
But we still need a vowel.
PUMU.
All right, go.
That should probably stay short.
Okay.
That should just be like, do we have like a click? Do we have like a does the T have a click on it?
Well, not in the phonetic sense, but I mean it's a short sound.
Yes, I think we should do T, and then probably TA.
Okay. Regular T, or what are we thinking here?
Probably regular, because we want to keep it short.
Okay. Run.
That should probably also be TA as well.
All right. In that case, we could probably just not have it.
Yeah, I think those two should essentially be the same word.
All right.
At least at this stage in the language.
Fair enough.
What is the goblin's sexual preference? Does it extend to bugs and fairy folk?
Well, I mean, if you
depends on your lore.
Yeah.
That's up to the DM.
If you're looking like super into like European folklore and what is a goblin, then basically they are a kind of fairy. So.
Yeah, well, if we're talking D&D goblins and we're talking kind of like the standard, the goblins just kind of stick to themselves. They don't tend to really...
Yeah, I've never heard of a half-goblin.
Yeah. So I don't think there's very many. They're also not like if you're going like the Goblin Slayer route, then I guess they are definitely like pillagey and will, forcible sex on other races. But
Does that ever
uh,
result in actual
I don't.
reproduction?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it does because I don't think goblins are sexually compatible like that.
Okay. What about I put hit in there instead of run? Now we can hit things.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that should be like a K-E-K.
Well, it's not called muck duck, so maybe we should have an R in there.
Oh, okay.
That was an office reference, in case anyone was wondering. Actually, you know what? I kind of want an aspirated K.
I knew somebody who played a goblin, and their goblin was racist against other goblins. So I actually preemptively have a racial slur for goblins for when we get to racial slurs.
Oh, well, that was definitely next on the list of things to do. Was let's get our racial slurs in.
But those are important.
They are important, but I feel like they're not quite coming up. Sleep.
Um, P-I?
All right, which P?
Last.
And I am going to be a jerk and put in the lateral fricative, and then another I, and I'm also going to have to write in a rule. Lateral. That's gonna put your tongue where it would be for an L, but then just only let the sides down, and you say it. So it's PT. 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 Yeah. I never said it was going to be easy to pronounce Proto Goblin.
Yeah, this is gonna be really funny if anybody ever makes a character that spends a lot of time studying languages, like a high int character, and they do like a time travel campaign.
Ooh, and
This
then
one character is like, I know how to actually speak Proto Goblin.
yeah. See, I was around. For the sort of live. This is the out of character. I was like, I was around for a live stream once, and I picked up some Proto Goblin. All right,
Yes.
2 more words, and then we're gonna start doing some actual grammar sentences.
Goblins with grammar.
Yep.
I would like to make that into a shirt.
Do it.
I think that's a great shirt idea. Just gobos with gobos with grammar.
Combos with grammar. All right, hide. Need a word for hide. This is the verb, not animal skin.
Right.
The verb.
How do we start with an X? Or do we need?
We just do.
We just do.
Yeah,
It.
there's 2 kinds of X's. Which one you want? The ha or the ha?
Let's go harsh.
Oh, really harsh, huh? All right. All right. So, how are we going to differentiate between these two?
Italics.
I don't. It's not easy to type italics. We're just gonna go capital. And then look, I'm sorry to all those people who are fans of like nice Latinization schemes, but no, stop capitalizing it.
Somebody's asking, shouldn't sleep be kind of onomatopoeia-ish so it sounds like snoring?
I feel like it kind of sounds a little bit like a snore, like maybe a goblin snores. We need a vowel though.
E? E-H?
All right, let's put an E and we'll put an H, and then I want a U.
There we go.
Hey-hoo. Hey-hoo. Something like that. Hey-hoo. Yeah.
Hey-hoo.
Or no, we can't put an E. That's not a vowel there. You fixed me up. All right, 1 more, and then we're going to do some grammar.
Nice.
That's where fun stuff's going to start happening.
Isn't walk the same as go?
No, because you can go other ways. But sure, let's get rid of it. Let's see. What's another thing we can put in there? We can put in a noun. Put in stone. Stone is a good thing. Goblins sometimes live in caves.
They throw rocks.
Yeah.
Goblins throw rocks.
What's a good word there?
For rocks, maybe we should do TAR. I?
Which T we doing?
Middle.
Okay. Tari. Tari.
Tari.
Yeah, and I guess just because I feel like it, we'll go with in unstressed syllables. Sometimes the trill becomes a tap, so just deal with it. Yeah, it's just gonna be a thing. We'll
So
write it
now
down
they
eventually.
would be like, go rock.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we need
So it'd be
some
like
word order.
tari, and it would be like go rock.
Right. Anonymous.
And then you could use the word hit, because we've got hit, right?
Yeah.
So it would be tari, and then what was hit?
Hit is kira.
Kira. So it would be tari kira.
Well, that's
so they would go rock hit.
well, that is the question. What are we gonna do for basic word order? So our options.
It's true.
We have 9 total options, but some of them are exceedingly uncommon in terms of actual languages.
Yeah.
So the most common ones are subject, verb, object, subject, object, verb, and verb, subject, object. That is an approximate level of likelihood, and I'm thinking I don't want it to be too Englishy.
Here's the thing: is how funny do you want the language to be?
I mean,
Because English
are...
is a little bit for speaking is a little bit the best for comedy.
Is
because
it?
of the word, yeah, because of the word order.
Hmm.
It's specifically because of the word order. It essentially lets you set up for setting up jokes, unless you're going into puns. And puns is mostly going to be about written language and whether or not a word can mean multiple things.
Well, here's something. We can set up a word order now, and then we can later set up a system that will allow word order to become free via grammar and things like endings. So we could actually have a final grammar that doesn't actually have a specified order for words, in which case you could put whichever words you want to help with the joke.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So I'm thinking verb, subject, object is fun.
Sure.
All right. So now if we want to say, like, let's say...
Go you rock.
Yeah, that would be you go to the rock.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to say, like, the goblin hit the wolf, you would have to say... Oh, I got a echo. What's going on?
Sorry, that's me. My headphone just came out.
Ruining the stream. It's all over, people.
Sorry.
Go away. We're all
everything.
done now. So let's see. So if you wanted to say, goblin hit the wolf, you would sample sentence. The wolf. Can't type.
There you go. It's the T-Rex arms.
I know, they're really tiny. It's really hard to use this. I have to have a special keyboard made. Then wolf. Alright, so there's a sentence right there in Proto-Goblin. Kira kapuli turu.
There you go. The goblin hit the wolf.
Yep. And literally, so we'll get...
Goblins kick puppies.
So let's see, we get hit, goblin, wolf, wolf. That's the correct order to put these things in. So we got the actual phrase, we've got the parse, so that's what each word, right? Yeah. Each word translated word by word, and then the goblin hit the wolf. Okay, so then
Kira kapuli turu.
Yep. All right, so now we can make the most basic of sentences. But what if we want an adjective? What if we wanted to say the tame wolf?
Oh.
Tame wolf. So we have 2 options, one of which is that we put tame, which
Oh, Buck.
So actually there's a couple questions. One is, should adjectives derive from stative verbs, or should they derive from nouns?
No, I think there's something there.
Obviously.
Puck woke up from a dream and I think he freaked himself out.
Aww. So, actually, it won't matter a whole lot. For a language with verb, subject, object, the more typical order is adjective, noun.
Right.
But that is not a rule that is necessarily, like, we don't have to follow that rule. It is the more common for this word order, though. English is actually weird in having verbs in the middle of the sentence and then having adjectives come first.
Yeah.
So we could pick the more common version, and then we could just say that this sentence would be, let's see, Pupituru, which would be the tame wolf. Or hit the tame animal, the wolf would probably be the more direct translation at this stage, but that's an unnatural one.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a totally natural language yet anyway, because it's going to be really, really basic. So you're going to be missing a lot of conjunctions or things that simplify or also complicate the language.
Okay. But now we have a question. What if it was the wolves?
Oh, plural.
Yeah. So I actually
I know how J.R.R. Tolkien feels bad. Languages are complicated.
So
although by the time we're done this, we're not gonna finish all of it in one sitting, right? We're just kind of showing you guys how to do it. So if you ever want to do your own, you can just follow exactly what we've done here and just kind of mix and match and see what works for you and whatever kind of language you're doing and what kind of feel you want to have. Yeah. Now you based a little bit of this off of a little bit Arabic-y, correct?
There's some similarities in the sound structure. So it has a simplified version of the Arabic sound vowel system. And it also has a few consonants that are uncommon outside of Semitic languages, especially Arabic.
Right. But what we will do is we'll probably do a couple of these streams where the language will get a little bit more complicated. We'll keep these streams short because we don't want you guys to be like, oh God, why have we been doing this for 3 hours? Get me out. But we'll do like little ones. I'm still waiting for the show to start. This is the show.
This is it. All right, so here's
behind the DM screen is what this looks like.
Here's what I'm thinking for plurals. Initial syllable reduplication.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's fancy.
I like that.
But the question is, do we want it on? We probably want it on the adjective.
Probably.
So to go from the goblin hit the tame wolf, which is Kira Kapuli. So, Kira, Kapuli, Puli, Pupi, Kuru.
Yeah, so there's more than one.
Yes. So this will do some interesting things later down the line. What this will mean is that plural forms of nouns and adjectives will only be sort of predictable.
Yeah.
They'll be a bit irregular, and sometimes there will be certain patterns that they'll fall into, but most of the time, you'll just have to memorize, this is the singular, this is the plural. They'll sound similar, it won't be the same. And I know that sounds like a pain in the ass, but here's the thing, right? In order to learn a single noun in, say, Greek, you need to know what article comes before it in the nominative singular form, and the genitive singular form. So this is really not any bigger of a burden than learning a single noun. This is actually less of a burden than learning a single noun in Greek, and it's actually about the same as the burden of learning a single word in Arabic, which, for very different reasons, also tends to have irregular plurals.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a little bit of a pain. We will also, this is available if you want to see this sheet. It's all viewable in the link below, and as the sheet is basically going to be a living document. If you keep looking back at it, it's going to expand and expand until it turns into a full language. Pluralization via initial syllable reproduction. Because you guys.
Yep. It's actually a very... So reduplication is actually a pretty common plural strategy in a lot of world languages. It's just not in any of the European ones.
What's the name of the language? Currently, the what we've got
Goblin.
so far is Proto-Goblin.
Yeah. So the name of the language will probably... Actually, you know what? We should get a word for tongue. Because that'll probably be where the word for language ends up coming from. And we already have a word for goblin. So we could come up with a word for goblin language. Tongue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's a good word for tongue?
R. U. Rolling R.
They're all rolling, so...
Rolling R.
Roo?
Roo. What do we want? Roo.
That sounded way too much like an F, so there's going to be an F in it now. But that's actually a bilabial fricative. And an A.
There we go. Rufa.
So, this case, the goblin language would probably end up being Kapuli Rufa.
This is the nerdiest thing that has ever occurred.
Exactly. Oh, I warned... at least the people I told about this, I warned them, like, hey, this is going to be the nerdiest thing that anyone has ever seen.
Yeah, we did say that yesterday when we were announcing we were doing this, and we're gonna do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, so now we can say that the...
Goblin tongue.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that up here in, like, a big size. 24.
Make it bigger.
To make sure I check... What is it? Okay.
Kalupi.
Kabuli...
Kabuli.
Probably.
Ruva.
Yeah. Kabuli Ruva.
That is the name of the language.
Right now. That'll change.
Yeah, because it'll advance.
Right. But we could actually keep it...
Proto-Goblin, that would be how you would translate Proto-Goblin.
Right. And the nice thing is, those words, so the word for goblin and the word for tongue will change separately.
Yes.
Themselves. So by the time we're done, the name of the language won't be so transparently related to those two words.
Yeah.
That's one of the advantages of doing it this way, is you can get etymologies and reasons for things, and certain words that are related will sound similar, but they won't be obviously just made up of a compound word in most. So there is that. What about possessor and possessed things? So what if I wanted to say that this isn't just the goblin hit the tame wolves. The goblin hit...
There.
Well, we'll do pronouns a little bit later, but we'll say the spider's wolves. It doesn't really matter if it makes sense or not, it's just a grammar thing. Hit the spiders tame wolves.
Oh god, the spiders are taming wolves now. Shit.
Right? Not a good thing.
The spiders are riding goblins.
So the question then comes...
No, wait, the spiders are riding wolves attacking goblins?
Yes. It's basically a goblin's worst nightmare.
This is a dangerous world.
Yes. So do we want... So basically the big thing is spider can come before or after tame wolves. And in this case, the more likely for this language would actually be after.
After. Yeah.
Okay, so...
I think after makes sense.
Which was going to be the opposite of the way it normally would be. So you'd have to think of it of the spider as sort of the...
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be the wolf. The wolf belonging to the spider.
Right. Alright, so now we...
what is the translation for trash goblin? We don't have a word for trash yet.
Yeah, we could get one.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Well, but it'll take a little bit before we get to trash.
I mean, it could be a root word. I don't know.
Trash is a root word.
It sort of is in English. I mean, does it have some kind of complex etymology I don't know about?
Fair enough.
Let's look it up. Trash. Etymology. It might actually be a loan word, but I'm going to hold... Oh, it's just from late Middle English of unknown origin. Trash. Okay. So yeah, it's basically a root word in English.
Kyle should be the word for trash.
I mean, okay, that's actually where we're going to be working on that. Okay, so that's incoming.
Let's do that. Yep.
Incoming. Trash. Going to be... I'm going to make it fringalized.
Here we go.
And then there's a reason for that. No. Hold on, I have to fix this. So, based on likely sound changes that we will probably implement, this has a fair chance of ending up sounding a lot like Kyle.
How do you pronounce it now?
Kahili.
Kahili. It's
trash.
trash.
No, sorry, it's
garbage.
It's Kahili.
Kahili.
With a in the middle of it.
Kahili.
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 Yeah.
And so that will be that will eventually that essentially just will mean trash or garbage or like something you don't want. So like like if you skin an animal, the extra stuff you're not using, that'll basically be what it's referring to.
Yeah, there we go. So trash, offal, or refuse can all be referred to with this word.
Hi, GPS off laughing.
Hey! And yeah, so when we're done, there's a fair chance that we can make that sound a whole lot more like Kyle than it does right now.
So Trash Goblin is going to be a Kyle Goblin.
Well, you did that to yourself.
Oh, I didn't?
Okay, I sort of did it to you. Alright.
God damn it, chat.
So now we have, let's see. We have...
I mean, I guess that's appropriate if things keep going the way they're going. Oh my, never mind. I can't talk about this right now. Jokes for later.
Oh.
In jokes for later.
Possessee. Okay. Possessed, possessee. Alright. Let's see. Do we want prepositions or postpositions?
You'd think we would have made Kyle thief instead of trash.
Oh. I would say postpositions is probably more consistent.
Okay.
Post. Okay, so then rather than going, say, to the rock, right? Like you go to the rock, you go the rock.
Okay.
They're postposition. They're going to work exactly like prepositions, except they're going to come after the noun that they are referring to. But we'll come up with some adpositions later. I'll probably just string a whole bunch of them up in the Excel file because it's sort of boring work.
Sometimes it's like what we'll end up skipping that we won't end up showing on stream is going to be the stuff where we're just filling in the blanks. Yeah. So you know what's happening and we're just filling it in. So when we're adding words...
Oh, but that reminds me. Now we can make plural personal pronouns.
We can. Woo!
Here we go. And plural relative pronouns.
Fafa. Pafa. Papa.
Well, that would be Faba.
Faba.
And Kigi. For they.
Kigi.
Kigi.
I like it.
Yeah, because you got to remember when there's so all the sounds that aren't sort of strong for some reason, like aspirated or fringalized, when they're between a vowel, they get voiced.
Right.
So it looks a lot like iha, but really it would be pronounced ira.
Right.
So yeah. But this one, that would not be pronounced like a G because that one is fringalized, so it's too strong to get that overflow of the voice from the two vowels going through.
Yeah, slaughter is gonna have to come from hit. So like hit will get a derivative of for kill, which will then get like mass kill, which would be slaughter.
We could put in a root that is just sort of a general intensifier for whatever it comes before, so it just yeah. And then that would almost certainly end up becoming a prefix that could be added to words to make them more important or bigger. Yeah. Because one of the first things that we're going to do, even before sound changes, is some of these things will end up being things like turned into prefixes or suffixes. So one thing
you guys do realize that we're going to be able to actually design SMOB t-shirts that are written in Goblin.
Yeah. It's the thing. It's going to happen. Also, that I would like to do
utilizing the hit for slaughter.
Adverbs.
Yeah, so we'd intensify it and then plural it.
I would like to do adverb sentence.
Okay.
So let's put. Now, I'm going to tell you why. So you know how we said we might want to free up the word order later?
Right.
Well, one thing you'll notice is, so a very early thing that's likely to happen is that some of these personal pronouns are likely to just end up being subject endings for verbs to tell you who the subject is. And so they'll
Right.
end up being suffix onto it. But we could also suffix the object as a pronoun. And so the verb could mark for the person and number of the subject and object, which would then mean, because those are marked for in most sentences, you wouldn't actually have to put the actual nouns in that order because it's already marked on the verb. So you know if it's I'm the one who's doing it, and if I'm hitting the wolf,
Yeah.
and wolf is third person, you already know the object of the sentence is third person. Wolf can go wherever you want.
Right.
So, and then if we have adverbs coming before the verbs in the sentence, one of the things that lets us do is it means that when adverbs start marking for things like tense and aspect, they can then be prefixes. So the verb form can just be prefix, stem, subject suffix, object suffix, which will allow you.
We're gonna start doing this once a month until everybody is able to start tweeting at everybody else in Goblin.
It'll be like the Navajo code talkers for Twitter.
It's what's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna end up with a bunch of trolls that we're dealing with because somebody's getting bullied on the internet and somebody's wrong on the internet, and we're all gonna start just talking about them on their thread in Goblin, and they're not gonna go, "What the hell is going on?"
I mean, I'm okay with it.
I love it. This is great.
In fact, eventually.
Report me now, bitch.
Eventually, I'll probably add a font for Goblin that can be downloaded.
Yes.
Yeah, and it probably will be a little bit on the complicated side, so be warned.
Tell you what I'll also do is if we actually get this completed and I get some, and if I get like a new microphone and a setup, once things have like gotten rolling and have set up, and if I get a little bit of free time once non-sec's back and going again, I will, once the language is done, I'll record like directions.
Nice.
So you can essentially have me speaking Goblin telling you to go right in 500 meters.
Yes, that would be amazing. We'll have to come up with a Goblin version of meter. We'll probably just borrow it from English, if I'm being honest, because in world Goblins probably don't have meters.
Yeah, they probably don't measure things much.
I mean, I would actually imagine they probably do things like cubits.
Yeah, they would be like like feet, and it would be like really vague.
Yeah, it would be like, it was 3 of my cubits from my elbow to my middle finger.
Yeah, paces.
Right.
Do things in paces.
Yeah, so I think one thing we didn't state is the goals we have, because if you're making a language, it's important to have goals. Otherwise, you'll just kind of get lost in the weeds. So one is, the language I want it to be reasonably naturalistic. It's going to be a language that if a linguist came up to it, he wouldn't immediately say, no, this was constructed intentionally as a language by a particular small group of people. This wasn't one that naturally came about through the history of a population of speakers. That's one goal, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing things like initial syllable reduplication, and I'm not just starting with prefixes and suffixes.
Yeah, because you could skip ahead.
Yeah.
You could essentially, we'll get to step like 3 later on, but you could start with step 3 if you're building a language off of something that already exists, or if you don't care if it's naturalistic or not.
Right, but I want it to be naturalistic.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I want it to be not so complicated that English speakers are going to be inordinately burdened if they wanted to try and learn it.
That's an interesting idea. Can goblins have 6 fingers? Because I want them to have a base of 12.
How about
they have 3 fingers and 3 toes?
Yeah.
So they count off, so they're still counting base 12.
Well, here's the other thing. You can actually just do, so if you can put each of your fingers halfway down, right? And you so you can get a base, you could get up to, 16 pretty easily on that. But base 12 is better, and so you can do something like So you have your 5 fingers on one hand, and then a fist can actually be something else. Or you could put, like, say, pointing towards your palm with your other fingers as a number, with the fingers on the same hand. So if you wanted to get to 6, you could say curl your hands, just your fingers down, and yeah, that could be a 6. You don't just have to go one digit at a time. The big thing that you want out of a counting system based on digits is just that it be relatively easily identifiable. So any hand gesture that is identifiable as a different number can be 6, and then 12 on when you get it to the other hand. So it could be anything like making a little O shape could be a 6, or anything else. So it's not actually very important that it match to digits. And plus, in human languages, historically, until fairly recently, base 10 was actually not the most common base. And so most people just had counting systems that didn't rely on digits, or if it did in other ways. So some languages that do have a base 12 do things like a certain hand gesture is 6, or the wrist is 6 sometimes. So they'll just fold the hand down for 6 or something like that.
Someone's asking if we can quickly make a curse word.
Curse words usually derive from words that we already have. So for instance, we have trash, awful, refuse.
Yeah.
So that's already basically a curse word. So we kind of have it covered. And our first curse word is more or less Kyle.
Yeah.
So congrats, everybody.
Woo!
And more nuanced curse words will definitely arrive.
Fucking would essentially be hit.
Would it?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not going to be stabbing? Yeah,
but stabbing is also hitting.
I mean, not every form of violence has to come from the same word hit.
That's true.
That's a thing we'll probably have to figure out. Because one of the things is you want to have a relatively small number of root words, but you don't want to have so few that every single word has the same root.
Yeah, we're gonna have to branch it a little bit more.
Yeah, because this is not the full list of root words. This is just a sample list to help with initial grammar setup.
Yeah. So we'll be adding words to this, but I don't think we can use fucking as a base word.
No, I don't think so either. Well, we can add that in we can add that in for another curse word if we want.
Feces.
Yeah. Specifically different. And actually, in English.
Yeah, it would separate like bodily refuse from like a broken stick.
All right, so maybe we should take awful out of here and include it in with the feces.
Yeah.
Because my guess is that those are both things that goblins are going to deal with.
Yes. More than likely.
I mean, they hunt, and presumably they take craps. So
I can tell you guys if you guys want, you can have the goblin, the slur for goblin in common.
I say go for it, but that's just me.
The slur for goblin in common is a gib. G-I-B. No goddamn gib.
You know what we haven't used is the aspirated glottal stop. So I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
Ooh. I guess it's just 2 apostrophes now that I think about my romanization scheme.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'll probably have to put a space in front of it. Yeah, of course I do. Pieces of dick. All right, what vowel are we using?
Vowel for feces. We
could go E.
E? Yeah.
E. And then, you know what? Well, also we haven't used is, I don't think we've used. There we go.
So how do you pronounce it?
Ishu.
Ishu.
Gotta make sure that there's a little puff of air after you pronounce the glottal stop. Does Ishu. Should be a very strong glottal stop, which is hard for most English speakers to do. But we're going to be leveling that anyway. So exact pronunciations at this point, we need to be able to identify them, but we don't need to really be able to reliably pronounce them.
Yeah.
So we need to know what they are, and I need to be able to describe them with words used in linguistics, so that way when I do things like sound changes, make that happen. Ooh. So there you go. Now we have 2 words that can both very easily turn into curse words.
Yes.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I imagine that goblins spend a decent amount of time swearing.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Matt Powell. I feel like it's a very long word for feces, but I mean, I don't disagree with the sentiment. The advantage of Kyle is it's a single syllable.
And once we get this a little bit rolling a little bit more, we might be able to give a couple other people access to this to help
Yeah.
increase the vocabulary.
Right. You will.
G-Man equals meltdown.
Actually, he didn't have a meltdown last time I saw him in a debate.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it was the debate with GE and Kyle that he won.
I actually bumped into G-Man in Drunken Peasants chat the other night.
Oh, really?
So I was chatting with him a little bit, and I was just like, "Oh, hey, nice work in your debate with GE and Kyle." And he says, "Oh yeah, it was great." I just like, "Yeah, you did well." And he's like, "I never lose," and I'm like, "I've never seen you lose because that's the only one I've ever watched."
Oh man, I've seen a few other debates, but the problem is they're really hard to go through because he just starts screaming.
I've seen him in like hangouts, but not in like debates.
I've seen a few of his actual debates, and they're just like him in hangouts whenever anyone disagrees with him.
Right.
It's the exact same thing. He has no.
Yeah.
He has no chill. It's true. It's literally no chill. But yeah. So let's see.
All right, we're gonna come up to the hour and a half. I think we should
cut it. Yeah, that's pretty good.
At the hour and a half because this is a lot of information for people to kind of learn and take in. So
absolutely. So we have a really crappy romanization scheme so far. That's always fun. It'll get better though. So let's see. I already pre-made the sound system because it's not fun to watch people erase letters from a consonant chart. Like it's even more boring than you would think. So we have some word orders. So we're verb, subject, object, adjective, noun. We have pluralization via initial syllable reduplication. Adjective agrees with the noun for plurality. Possess, possessee, word order. We have postpositions, or we're going to. And the adverb is sentence initial, which is a little unusual, but it will help make verb conjugation easier. You should
make sure that the chart is in this document.
Which chart? Oh, yeah, the this guy. I will.
Yeah, so that way people can play with it. Feel free to take this and play with it on your own and send us stuff.
Yeah, definitely. How do I embed an image in here? I don't even know. I've never used. Oh, I don't use docs a whole lot. Insert
go to the top.
Image? Yeah. Upload from computer. It's gonna be in picture.
Look out for the donkey porn.
Yeah, seriously, it's all over the place, but not in this folder.
Hey, look, a flaming skull.
Yeah, I edited it slightly so it wasn't green, it was blue.
Yeah, so feel free to play with the language and come up with your own words, but just do keep in mind that we are working on very, very rudimentary words.
Yes. If you come up with words, they will have to filter through Cheshire and/or I.
Yes.
It's giving me a complaint, so it's probably just too big. I'm going to shrink down the size of the file later and put it in here.
Yeah, we'll get it in there.
Yeah, so it's complaining right now. I don't know why.
That way you guys can play with it and send us some interesting ones that you come up with, some interesting ideas, because there's a lot of like root words that are going to need to be filled in. So, and we're not going to like sit here and make you guys watch us fill in but like a dictionary's worth of.
Yeah, ideally, by the time we can say that the language is more or less done, we'll have somewhere around 5,000 to 10,000 final words.
Yeah.
So that's the level where you can actually start using a language to have most general conversations that you would need. So yeah.
And we also don't want the Goblin language being as advanced as our current languages, because Goblins are still known to be, they might be relatively intelligent, but they are still relatively simple. They're not as advanced, so they're not going to have a word for car. They're not going to have a word. They might have a word for travel.
The way I look at it is basically Goblins rarely do their own metal smithing.
Right.
They can make stone tools on their own from scratch, and when they make metal tools, it's usually from salvaged scrap metal.
Scrap metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can cold work metal, but they can't forge it, and they can't smelt it.
Now, they might be familiar with the term smelting, but they'll be borrowed from Dwarven.
Yeah. Which means now we're gonna just have to make up a Dwarven language. Gosh, thank you.
I think Dwarven already exists. I think we
No.
might be okay on that one.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there's Tolkien's Dwarven, but it's got like 40 words total or something.
I do not trust Tolkien's Dwarven because Tolkien had too much of a hard-on for elves.
And he made his dwarves almost explicitly Jewish.
They're the Klingons of D&D.
Odd.
We could use Klingon language as the Dwarven language.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
That would be probably pretty accurate. I think I would agree with that.
Klingon has some weird problems of its own, but you're not going to notice that unless you're really looking for them.
Goblins from Magic the Gathering have many words for ow. Yes, they do.
Which
Yes,
makes
they do.
sense. Yes. We could actually put in a number of adjectives that all refer to different situations
We'll
of
probably
injury.
we'll need to do a word for hurt for a base word, like an injury.
Well, actually, that'll get into another thing that we'll have to work on, which is how are we going to mark valency?
Oh.
So valency marking is going to have to be a thing that we do.
Yeah. So some of this will be off screen, some of it will be on screen. We're not going to do, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to need to be filled in the background. We won't be doing this like weekly or even bi-weekly. So we'll probably get together once a month because that will give us the amount of time that we're going to need to backlog and fill up to get to the next point.
Chesh is wrong. We're going to be doing this
tomorrow.
Basically I'm going to go with a sequence of about 14 hours between streams. Every 14 hours, hour and a half stream. There you go.
Oh, God.
Like clockwork, that changes the clock time all the time. But yeah, no, monthly sounds about right. I think that'll be, yeah. So thanks everyone for showing up and watching the nerdiest thing that has ever happened on this channel.
It's true. It's probably one of the nerdiest things that has ever happened on any channel.
Yeah, it's hard to get a whole lot nerdier than making a Goblin language from scratch.
Yeah, making not only language history, building your own phonetics, but it's also D&D and goblins.
YouTube Surgeon General says, just do it till Kyle turns over the books.
Oh, yeah.
God. All right, so before we head out, I'm just going to say there are links in the description for the Google Doc links, both this docs file and the sheets file.
Yep.
Also, Chesh's channel and my channel are both linked. So if you want to come over and give us your likes or subscribes, feel free. And if you don't, we will do this way more often than you think. You
have a premiere coming up
tomorrow.
You have a premiere coming up tomorrow at 6 EST.
I think it's time zones are weird.
Time zones are weird right now, also.
Check my channel. It'll be promoted there. Yeah,
so Dapper's got a video coming out tomorrow. I'm going to be live tomorrow with a really big Caffeine Corner.
Oh, yeah. Check that out.
This one's going to be... Yeah, guys, we're going to start some problems on purpose.
Ooh. Now, is that going to be 10 a.m. Pacific?
Yes, it should be.
Okay, so that'll be... What?
It's going to be really
1 p.m.
funny.
Eastern, but not for you. It'll be 2 Eastern for you?
Yeah, it's 2 for me. Darth says arguing Elvish grammar might be nerdier. Not when we start having people, having conversations comparing Elvish and our Goblin language and which one's grammar is going to be, comparative.
Oh, we're going to have way cooler grammar than Elvish.
Oh, and it's going to be trash.
Doesn't mean it won't be better, though. It'll be high, top quality trash.
Goblins with grammar.
Yep. Yeah, I already have plans for the grammar, and it's going to be interesting. It won't be too complicated or difficult, but it'll be interesting.
This is going to be really fun when we just end up being able to type it out to people on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And we're also going to make a spelling system for Goblin, and heads up, it will be a deficient spelling system, so good luck with that.
Yes.
Because real-world spelling systems are almost always deficient. But that's enough sneak previews. I think it is time to actually sign out. Oh.
Remember, the slur for goblin is gib.
Gib. There we go.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.